What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the law of syllogism. This is going to be another tool that we can use to help our arguments when we're trying to use deductive reasoning to solve something. Again, this is a law based on logic and it'll help us. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Let's first off read the law of syllogism. Even though we might not understand exactly what it means in mathematical terms, we'll get to some examples that hopefully clarify what the definition was stating. The definition basically states that it's a law of logic that states given two true conditionals, so if we have two separate conditional statements, with the conclusion of the first one, so if the conclusion of my second conditional statement is the hypothesis of my second conditional, okay? If I have a scenario where basically one conditional ends how my second one starts, then I can actually make a third conditional connecting the hypothesis of my first to the conditional of my second. So basically, if I have one conditional that states if P, then Q, and a second conditional that states if Q, then R, then I can sort of combine those two and say if P, then R. So if the first two are true, then I can create a third one that's also true. Now, like I said, this is going to make much more sense when we get into our first example. So let's go ahead and let's jump straight to it. In this example, it says, assume that each is true. Use the law of syllogism to write a true conditional. If we can't use the law of syllogism, explain why. So here we have a statement that says, if Zachary eats pasta for dinner, then he goes to bed early. If it is Tuesday night, then Zachary eats pasta for dinner. So I have two separate conditionals here. And I want to see, is the hypothesis of one the conclusion to another? Let's find out. So I see here, I have if Zachary eats pizza for dinner. This statement is the conclusion to this statement. So if it is Tuesday night, then Zachary eats pizza for dinner. If Zachary eats pizza for dinner, then he goes to bed early. If I rearrange the order of these statements, you can see that I can directly connect and assume that if it is Tuesday night, then I know that Zachary is going to bed early. So that's the new statement that I can write based off of the law of syllogism. The new statement we can write would be, if it is Tuesday night, instead of saying then Zachary eats pasta for dinner, I know that if he eats pasta for dinner, he's going to go to bed early. I can directly eliminate the parts where it says then he eats pasta for dinner and jump straight to the fact that if it is Tuesday night, then I know Zachary goes to bed early. Just write it down here, early. And this is how we use the law of syllogism. This is a true statement. Okay, we connect two conditional statements. One of them has the conclusion, that's the hypothesis to the other. So the second one, my second conditional, had a conclusion that was a hypothesis to my first statement. Therefore, I could have just went directly from if it is Tuesday night, then Zachary goes to bed early. Let's go ahead and let's look at another example. It says if a whole number is even, then it is divisible by 2. If the sum of the digits of a whole number is divisible by 3, then the whole number is divisible by 3. So again, I'm going to look into these two statements and see, is the conclusion of one of my statements the hypothesis to the other? And what you'll notice here is that I actually have 4 completely different statements. If a whole number is even, is that the conclusion to the next one? Then the whole number is divisible by 3. Fortunately not. These two things are not related. I can have a number that's even, a whole number, and there might be a chance that that whole number is divisible by 3, but it's not guaranteed. These two I cannot relate. Let's check the other two is by chance the hypothesis or the conclusion of this statement, then it is divisible by 2. Is that related? Is this conclusion related to my hypothesis of my next statement? If it is divisible by 2, if the sum of the digits of a whole number is divisible by 3, again, these two statements now are not related at all. So unfortunately for this statement, I'm not allowed to use the law of syllogism. The law of syllogism. Another way I can use the law of syllogism that's pretty popular is a lot of times we see the statement if A is equal to B. That's one statement. And if B is equal to C. Okay. Let me rewrite this with different colors. If A is equal to B, and if B is equal to C, then I can use the law of syllogism to simply state that A is equal to C. This is an example of what we are essentially doing with statements. We are taking the conclusion of one, and if we realize that that conclusion is the hypothesis of the other, then we realize that we can connect the other two statements. We can connect A to C. So I hope this short video on the law of syllogism has helped you understand a little bit how we use logic and how we use the law of syllogism. And again, this is all part of what we consider deductive reasoning, and this will help us out later when we're writing proofs and we're working with other concepts in geometry. As always, stay tuned for other videos and watch them at your own pace. I always like to recommend going back and rewatching them. There's no shame in that. Learn at your own pace. There's nothing wrong with that. Like always, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you encourage others and share it and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.